A frequent user interface design alternative for pagination is infinite scrolling. Also known as continuous scrolling, it lets users view content as they scroll down towards the bottom of the page without the need to click on pagination links. Visually, this alternative appears very similar to displaying all the items on the page. However, the difference between infinite scrolling and a view all page is that with infinite scrolling, the content is loaded on demand, while for a view all page, the content is loaded all at once. Mobile websites use infinite scrolling more, since on small screens, it's easier to swipe than to click. However, infinite scrolling relies on progressive loading with Ajax, which means that you will still need to provide search engines or users without JavaScript active links to component pages. You will achieve this using a progressive enhancement approach. Regarding SEO, infinite scrolling doesn't solve pagination issues for large inventories, and this is one of the reasons Google suggests paginating infinite scrolls. Google's advice is okay, but I don't believe that infinite scrolling needs pagination when there aren't too many products in the listing. A view all page with 200 items is preferable in many cases. However, pages that list more than 200 items and use infinite scrolling should degrade to plain HTML pagination links for non-JavaScript users, and this includes search engine robots. Degrading to HTML links means that search engines may still get into pagination problems, so you will have to handle pagination with one of the methods described earlier. This screenshot depicts the cached version of a subcategory page that uses infinite scrolling and degrades to HTML links for pagination when users don't have JavaScript on. On this page, there are previous and next links for users without JavaScript active. This is a screenshot of the same page, but this time JavaScript is active. The previous and next links don't show up anymore. This was achieved by hiding the pagination section with CSS and JavaScript. Users can continuously scroll to see all watches. Continuous scrolling has many advantages such as better user experience on touch devices, faster browsing due to the elimination of page reloads, increased product discoverability, and external links consolidation. However, there are disadvantages too, and infinite scrolling does not perform better on all websites. For example, on Etsy, which is an e-commerce marketplace for handmade and vintage items, infinite scrolling did not have the desired business outcome, so they reverted to old-fashioned pagination. Infinite scrolling led to fewer clicks from users, as they felt lost in a sea of items and had difficulty sorting between relevant and irrelevant. However, on other websites, infinite scrolling may work well, as reported in the study linked at the bottom of this slide. As with most ideas for your website, an A/B test will tell you whether removing pagination is helpful for users or not. If you plan to test infinite scrolling, here are a few ideas for you. Display visual clues when more content is loading. Not everyone's internet connection is fast enough to load content in the blink of an eye. If your server can't handle fast user scrolling, or if browsers are slow, let the user know that more content is on the way. In this image, you can see the loading more results at the bottom of the list. The message conveys to users that more content is loading. Consider a hybrid solution. A hybrid solution combines infinite scrolling and pagination. With this approach, you will display a Show More Results button at the end of a preloaded list. On mobile, make this button big to combat the fat finger syndrome. When the button is clicked, it loads another batch of items. In this example, more shoes are loaded with Ajax only when users click on the Show More Results button. Add landmarks when scrolling. Amazon uses a horizontal pagination in this product widget to give users a sense of how many pages are in the carousel. For vertical scrolling, adding landmarks such as virtual page numbers can provide users a sense of how far they scrolled and may help creating mental references. This screenshot was modified to exemplify a navigational landmark, which is the horizontal rule, and the text page 2. Update the URL while users scroll down. This is an interesting concept worth investigating. You can automatically append a pagination parameter to the URL when users scroll down past a certain number of rows. This concept is best explained with a video, so I made a brief screen capture to illustrate it in case the original page becomes unavailable. Pro members can download this file from the resources section of the course. If you regularly have 200 or fewer items in your listings, it's better to load all the items at once. Doing so will feed everything to search engines as one big view all page. This is Google's preferred implementation to avoid pagination. Of course, users will see 10 or 20 items at a time, and you will defer loading the rest of them in the interface. However, you will use data from the already loaded HTML code. This has the potential to save many pagination headaches. Depending on your website authority, you could go with even more than 200 items per listing. If the listing is huge, you should probably paginate, but even then, you may want to consider a view all page. Complement with filtered navigation. Large sets of pagination should be complemented by filtered navigation to allow users to narrow the items in the listing based on product attributes. Also, use subcategory navigation to allow users to reach deeper into the website hierarchy. Filters can reduce items in a list from hundreds to a few tens or even fewer. This listing page has 116 items, but if you filter by brand equals Samsung, the list shortens to 52 items. If you filter by color or by Finnish family, the list shortens to 9 items. If infinite scrolling produces better results for your users and your revenue, it's probably a good idea to keep it in place. But as I mentioned, make it work for users without JavaScript. Remove the pagination client side and implement infinite scrolling for users with JavaScript on.